welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. Today I am doing the Choose Your Own Adventure Fantasy Characters tag, and I was tagged by Joanna. And of course I will put a link in the description below to her wonderful channel, and I urge you to check it out for some great, thoughtful fantasy content. So now for the tag number 1, Fantasy Twin. Name a character you can relate to on a personal level. So I'm going to go with Ged from A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. And he actually appears in the Earthsea series, but mainly the Ged I'm talking about is the one from the first book, A Wizard of Earthsea. And I suppose part of the reason I'm picking Ged is that he and I go way back. The Earthsea books are very formative in terms of my fantasy journey, and this is a character that I found myself fascinated with as a younger reader, and I absolutely enjoyed with and identified with him. And I made some, it's not exactly the same mistakes, obviously, but you make mistakes when you're younger, and so I definitely identified with him for that, and also for his fascination with the world around him and his trying to negotiate the various adventures and places that he found himself in. So I'm going with Ged from A Wizard of Earthsea. And how about number 2? Let's see. Hero. Name a character that you aspire to be like. Lots of possibilities here, but honestly, the first one that popped into my mind is Tehol Benedict from the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and we meet him in Book 5, Midnight Tides. He's actually my favorite character from the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I would just love to be a genius like Tehol Benedict, and I enjoy the quirkiness of his personality. I enjoy his terrible jokes. I think maybe that might be the reason I aspire most to be like him, because I'd like to be even better at telling terrible jokes. But he's an absolute delight, a character that I love to read in that series full of amazing characters. So yeah, that's my hero, Tehol Benedict. Number 3, champion. Choose a character to be your champion in a duel. Now, fantasy is full of some good contestants for this particular category, but I'm going to go with a character that I feel is not only a kick-ass fighter, but someone who is reliable and faithful and loyal, and that is Brienne of Tarth from A Song of Ice and Fire by George Martin. I just think she is one of the most faithful characters you can find, and that is something I admire about her. Plus, it doesn't hurt that she beats just about everybody that she comes across in fair single combat. So I would feel pretty good with Brienne in my corner. So I'm going with her for my champion. Next one, number 4, unlikable character. Name a character you love to hate. So there are a lot of possibilities, again, from fantasy here, but I'm going to go with the absolutely loathsome Kyle Haven from the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. And Kyle isn't a big baddie in any sense of the word. He's just an extremely patronizing and annoying and, I guess you could call him a villain. But yeah, he is, if you've read the series, you know what I mean. Kyle is one of the most arrogant persons you can ever come across. And that's just kind of the personality that grates on me for some reason. I try to feel pity for him. Not so easy. So Kyle, I'm going with you. All right, let's see. Number 5, Tavern Buddy. This one's a more fun category. Name a character with whom you'd want to have a drink or spend a night on the town with. So I'm going to go with Orso from the Age of Madness trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Prince Orso, and it doesn't matter that he's a prince, I just love the guy's personality. He's a wonderful combination of clever, but also self-deprecating in his humor, and he's just a pleasant, fun person, I think, to be around. And he's a character that I found myself really rooting for as I was reading the Age of Madness trilogy. And again, this is a writer, Joe Abercrombie, who has a wealth of fantastic characters. So, but Orso, yeah, he just seems like a nice guy, a fellow that would be fun to be with too. I mean, he's witty, and he probably knows his way about town. He could show me Adua, the highlights, the nicer parts. Let's see. So yeah, I would definitely choose Orso. Number 6, villain. Name a character with whom you would not want to cross paths. So for this category, I am going to go with Mark Lawrence's The Broken Empire trilogy, and the villain there is the Dead King, and pretty much all of his spawn. I mean, this is a creepy character, and I don't think I'd ever want to cross paths with the Dead King. I can safely say that. So I'm going to go with that choice. Mark Lawrence does those villains really well. Just about everything, too. Okay, so let's go with the number 7 category is mentor. Name a character you would want to learn from or have as a mentor. This was the easiest one for me to answer because I would have said this when I was 12 or 13 years old, and the character is Gandalf from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Absolutely one of my favorite characters ever in fantasy or literature, and just a character that I wanted to meet, particularly Gandalf the Grey. I liked this sort of more grumpy, crotchety Gandalf, as opposed to the more ethereal Gandalf the White after he comes back from, well, you know what happens. This is not a spoiler, right? Everybody knows about the Balrog. I think so. So anyway, yeah, I'm going with Gandalf. He can be my mentor, and he's everybody's grandfather, right? Yeah. So number 8, Samwise. Name a character who you could trust to be your best friend. I am going to go with a character I have recently met, and that is Storm. Yes, Storm from The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. Look, I mean, a person's best friend is gonna be their dog. There are no better people than dogs, in my humble opinion. And I've loved every dog that I have had the privilege to have in my family. And I just think they're wonderful. And I'm going to include Storm in the canine family here. And not a bad friend to have by your side in a bad spot either. So yeah, I think Storm, the relationship between her and Corbin is just such a wonderful thing in The Faithful and the Fallen. So that's what I'm going with, Storm. All right. And then finally, number 9, Found Family. If you could adopt one character / give it a home, who would it be? I'm going to go with Rin from the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang, particularly when she's a younger Rin and not quite as traumatized as she later becomes. I feel like she never had the chance to have a good home, and that is something that I feel bad about for this character. And of course, the story would have been very different if she had had a good home. But yeah, no, I think that's a big part of who she is, the fact that she never had that security, that she never had a proper, loving home. So that's what I'm going with. It's a book I've just recently finished, the Pop War trilogy, so that was definitely looming in my mind, but I think that's a great choice. So there it is. I have completed the Choose Your Own Adventure Fantasy Characters tag. And I think most people I know on BookTube have done this tag. I'm, as usual, late to the party. But, if you're watching this and you want to do this tag, please feel free. Go ahead. It's a fun little tag to do. And it's a great way to talk about some of your favorites. So consider yourself tagged if you'd like to do it. And I hope you will join me for my next video, which will be a review of the next book in the Dresden Files. And I'm having a fun time, I actually just finished it. It was a lot of fun. So I have a few things to say about it. So I hope you'll join me for that. Until next time.